sustainable development really can't be achieved without greening growth. Why? Because developing countries are still extremely poor, most of them, and they need the growth. And second, the patterns of growth that we've had for the last 250 years are simply not sustainable as we're moving towards a world of close to 9 billion people. What we could do when we had 1.5 billion people in the world in the 1850s is certainly not a model for the future. So point number one, we need to green growth. Point number two is really a question. Is it possible to green growth without necessarily slowing it? And nobody has the exact answer to this question, but the thing that we do know is that there are tremendous inefficiencies in our economic system. There's a lot of waste. And exploiting that waste, making use of that waste, mean we can certainly grow greener without necessarily grow slower. The third set of question is, how do we monitor progress? And it's a fairly complicated challenge because measuring sustainability, measuring green growth is not an easy thing to do because there are many different dimensions to this. And one of the things we struggle with is the idea of having one synthetic indicator like GDP that everybody can use versus having many different indicators, a whole dashboard that can be really useful for policy making.
OECD addresses the issue at three levels, really. The first level has to do with our whole spectrum of work on how is life, where we try to capture what matters for people's lives. In other words, we want to observe things that go beyond the big aggregates like GDP. We look at household income, we look at jobs, we look at health, education, and trace this. And we just released a new report that's called How is Life 2013. So that tries to capture how are our lives evolving now and here. The second level where we're looking at these issues is at a level where we try to analyze how the economy interacts with the environment. This is our work on green growth. And here we're trying to identify those areas where societies can progress, both in terms of economic growth and income, but also in terms of environmental support. And the third level that we're looking at is really, can we sustain these things over time? We can look at how we're doing now, but the real question is, will it be possible to pass on these things to future generations? And here we're looking at really at different stocks of assets that we'd like to preserve one way or another for our children.
If you simply Google what is going on sustainability, you will realize that there is a bunch of literature going from the monitoring of sustainability to framing it into a certain way of concept and so on. One way to capture this complex and multidimensional phenomenon such as sustainability is to approximate it through some composite indicators tools. These are mathematical models that combine a set of variables with a certain function behind them, linking it to a concept or a theory behind it, and coming at a set of values for benchmarking country performance. What we have seen is that over the last 10 years there has been a tenfold increase in the number of composite indicators used in the vast literature, and more than 33% of these are actually linked to sustainability. So at the European Commission, we have been working on composite indicators over the last 12 years, since 2002. We have audited more than 60 composite indicators upon invitation of their developers, and we try to help them see within their tools, see the statistical properties of their tools, which often go unnoticed. We have, together with the OECD, published in 2008 a handbook on composite indicators, which lists not only different methodologies, but also good practices and the lessons learned. And we keep on working in this aspect.
There is an increasing need for a precise measurement of green growth and sustainable development, an increasing need for governments, but also for companies and institutions. what we did is not a retrospective measurement, a measurement of what happened in the past, but a prospective forward-looking measurement that tells us what is the direction that precise policy measures imply for the economic development of a given country in the region of the world. FEEM does exactly this. It does a new assessment, it provides a new assessment of economic development, taking into account what is the intervention, the public intervention of countries at the regional or national level, and provides a set of indicators which are measured with respect to the past, to the present, and also with respect to the future. That is, we are able to generate indicators that take the value that measures designed to sustain development in an environmental friendly manner, in a socially friendly manner, are implemented. So it's crucial for policymaking to have this kind of new tool, because it gives an idea what's the dynamics of economic development, in particular in which way sustainable development and green growth can be achieved.
Sweden, Norway, Switzerland are respectively the top 3 countries in our ranking. They have a very good performance in economic and social dimensions. Unfortunately, in environmental terms, they can do something more still and also in the future. Just because we are Italians, Italy is performing not that good, is at 20th place, is only superior to Greece and some other Mediterranean countries in Europe, but it performs better, for instance, of US, because US has, in spite of a very important economic performance, at least in terms of gross domestic products, the economic growth of US is very affected from environmental deterioration, so this is quite important. India closes our ranking a little bit lower than the other Asian and African poor countries. What we can do with this model is make different assumptions of policy scenarios in the future. What we implement is a social, environmental and comprehensive policies. What emerged from this policy is that social policies can improve, in spite of several costs, the social conditions and also the overall sustainability in least developed countries. A climate or an environmental policy can improve a lot the worldwide environmental conditions in terms of greenhouse gases emissions and the reduction of carbon intensity of economic production, and also a comprehensive solution that is concerns both social and environmental policies can even improve much more the conditions in both terms, both in social and environmental dimensions, with lower cost than if you do the different policies separately.